Welcome to A Better HR Business, the podcast that looks at how HR consultants and HR tech firms grow their businesses and how they help their employers to get the best out of their people. Remember, for show notes and downloads, go to www.getmorehrclients.com/podcast. That's getmorehrclients.com/podcast. Okay, let's get started.
Hello, welcome back. Great to have you along. And I'm really looking forward to today's conversation with Dean Mathews. Dean's a fascinating guy. He is the founder and CEO of a very cool company called OnTheClock, which is in obviously time management and time recording, etc., for employees in the workforce. And it's got all sorts of use cases and so on. But before we get into that, Dean, thank you very much for joining me today.
Yeah, thank you for having me. Really excited to participate and help out your audience and maybe give some tips and tricks. And
Yeah, good. Looking forward to that. And yeah, for our listeners, whereabouts are you based?
we are in Detroit area, Michigan, about 30 minutes north of Detroit. Yeah.
Very good.
Yeah. It's just starting to get spring here. So
Nice. Very nice.
yeah, it's been a long winter.
Yeah. And if you're listening to this on the go, not necessarily seeing a video version, Dean has a very impressive shirt showing off the OnTheClock.com website. So yeah, feel free to flex every now and then just to show it off, but if you're listening to this in the audio style, then it's there. Go check out the website. But we'll get into that. So Dean, I'm going to throw a curly question at you. What happened on May 8th, 2004?
So yeah, right around that time, that's when we launched. So yeah, the idea came a few months before. It was me at the time. It was more of a passion project. I was reading through accounting forums, HR people, small business owners, and they were just complaining that they couldn't find an online time tracking system that was easy and reliable. I was like, I'm going to build that for these guys. In May of 2004, it went live. And, I'm more of an entrepreneurial type. So been several different projects over the time, but this one really stuck. And fast forward to now, built it up over time. It really went from a passion project to about 7 years ago in actual business. And right now we got 21 employees tomorrow. Actually, we're hiring, coming on board tomorrow. And we've got about 18,000 customers, mostly based here in the United States. Yeah. So that's kind of the quick abbreviated version of what happened and where we're at today. Yeah.
Wow. I think you've got some pretty big numbers of employees, hundreds of thousands of employees running through the system. But I believe May 8th was the very first trial customer.
Yes.
Which came on board. I love the journey you've been on and the evolution. But before I go into that, I have to say you were a bit of a nerd trawling the internet for HR and accounting discussion boards. What drove you to that? Just bored one night or?
Curiosity, it's just what some of us do. The funny thing is on that board, it was a forum, right? So things disappear on the internet, right?
Yeah.
But I had looked so long just to find that original spark of inspiration and I can never find it. I really wish I had that screenshot. But I did dig up. We actually resurrected the original version of OnTheClock about a year or two ago and put it up on an AWS server just to look at it. And in that process, I found our old CD of the source code, right? We recompiled it and I found some of my original paperwork. I don't have it here, but just some notes from back in 2003, early 2004 era. So that was kind of cool. Yeah.
Wow. Brilliant. I was teasing you there about going onto the forum, looking at the discussions and stuff like that. But honestly, for people listening, I think it's just such a brilliant idea. It's one of the things I do personally. I recommend people do it. These days, it's sort of Facebook. For instance, there's some amazing groups on Facebook where people, they let their hair down a bit as opposed to LinkedIn where it's, pull the tie up, sit up straight sort of stuff. But you can learn so much. And so, yeah, that was really smart. That was a great thing.
That was the spark. I'm so happy we were sitting there that night. Yeah.
Did the original website make you blush these days? Isn't that what your first site's supposed to do?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, it was all done by me. No designer. I'm not a designer by any means. But yeah, when we resurrected it and just put it up on that server, we were laughing, especially my designer, James. He was like, yeah.
I must look away. It's burning my eyes. So tell us about OnTheClock. What does it do? How do you help employers?
So we help small businesses track employee time. Majority is the time for payroll. We do have job and project costing as well, but it's small businesses. We also serve accountants and payroll professionals as well, provide a place where they can add their customers and track time. And it makes it really easy for the payroll provider and accountant to just log in, go to their customer, get the time, run payroll or run any type of billing that has to be done. And they're done, as opposed to chasing around, Post-it notes or texts or emails or, trying to get actual time cards from the green machine into their office. That's in a nutshell what we do.
Nice. I used in one of the businesses, there was a warehousing logistics operation, and they used a system called paperless, but I've never seen so much paper in all my life. It was ridiculous. So I love the fact that, yeah, you've taken the time element. How did you, I mean, you read in the forums, there were issues around time management or time recording, all that kind of stuff. But, there's some big, well-known companies out there that have done this kind of stuff, and the old Bundy clock-in systems have been out there for a
Sure.
long, long time. Was that crazy, brave, something else to go into that area? What led you down that path?
Kind of going back to that day, it was, you might call it possibly a little bit of naivety as well as just really wasn't concerned about the competitors. I saw that problem. They were all talking about it. And it was recent at the time. So that means that they could not find a
Sure.
solution to their problem. So I just kind of ignored the rest and just went for it. It's sometimes you just got to do it.
That's smart. Yeah. I mean, there's
Yeah.
lessons for anyone in any sector, not just the HR world, but the fact that there are existing players, don't let that put you off, whether it be a software or
No.
a consulting business, that there's always opportunities, or you can segment or niche however you wish. So, yeah, I
Yeah.
like the fact that there was evidence there that they were complaining. So, quite clearly, whatever they were using at the time doesn't
Yeah.
fit their needs.
You've probably heard this plenty of times. You hear it a lot in marketing. Are you competitor focused or customer focused,
Yeah.
right? Who should you be focusing on? Of course, it's the customer, right? But so many people just focus on the competitors and what's out there. And we, of course, keep them in sight, but, really it's the customer. They're who matters. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so build for them.
Yeah. I know from my own perspective, over the years, I've kind of been trying to focus on that more and more, strip out pain points and focus on the customer. Because in the past, for instance, when I had training courses and training programs, it was all about the thud factor. When you put the course on the table, did it thud loudly because there was so much stuff into the box, let's say? How many videos and how many hours of this and that? Whereas I realized people don't necessarily want that. They just have a problem, they want it fixed. Especially these
Yes.
days with AI and templates and all sorts of stuff, you can strip stuff away. So yeah, you've reminded me of that with your sort of almost mantra of focus on the customer, not the competitors. So that's great advice for other people. What kind of employers were you winning over, and do you support these days?
Almost exclusively SMBs, focusing more on the S side. So our primary focus is less than 100 employees. We're relatively industry agnostic. So product isn't designed for any one particular industry. So we have construction, healthcare, small offices, warehousing, retail, medical is a big one, and insurance. So that we're really spread out pretty far. There's no particular niche that we're focused on, but it's
Yeah.
really just that small business. And there's a lot of them out there. In the States, it's 33 million, right?
Wow.
So it's the biggest target you could find.
Yeah. And they're often overlooked.
Yes, 100%.
Yeah. I was on your website, and it was a really nice design, by the way. So your new design,
Oh, thank you.
you guys have done a great job. But I love also a couple of things. One was so many screenshots of it in use, not just, the stock photos of people smiling and doing high fives in an office. It was an actual, here's an iPhone with a picture of it in use, or some of the data and things like that. I just thought that really put it into context for people. And secondly, some of just the catchphrases or the headings on the pages, they really made it simple as to the benefits, such as, I forget what they are exactly, but it was around simplicity. And if you need your payroll done, it's just so easy, simple stuff. And you think, I need this.
Yeah. So simple is really easy. It's really one of our primary focuses. When we're building product, adding a new feature or whatever it might be, it's how can we make it so simple that you just don't, no instructions required, right? Like I'll fight over one butt click. It's like I really fight to reduce it by one. So, we actually kind of a funny thing we did, it was a few years back. I'm sure it would still be the same. We took all of our reviews and we put them into a word cloud generator. And the biggest word right in the middle was easy. So that's what our customers are saying, right? So that was kind of a cool, we actually turned it into a background for a trade show.
Wow.
So yeah, it was pretty neat. Yeah. So easy is very, very important. Not all small business owners are techie, and they're entrepreneurs and they just need to get things done. So it's
Yeah.
like, make it easy for them.
Absolutely. And even if they are techie, yeah, they just don't have the time to do it. So yeah, as you say,
Yeah. It still makes it easy. Right.
yeah.
So yeah.
By the way, that's a really clever idea, getting all the reviews and putting it into word cloud. That's really clever.
Yeah. We were looking for something and it was pretty neat. I think it said something like easy, And then they use the word time clock a lot. So time clock or time tracking. Yeah. If I get a picture of it, I'll share it with you.
Yeah, yeah.
It's actually up at our office right now. So
Nice. So you've mentioned your target market, the SMBs and the smaller end, but you've also mentioned accountants and accounting firms because they're obviously helping these small to medium businesses. Is that one of your channels of growth or the way you access, new clients, new customers? Is it through the accountants? And if so, how did you come up with that and how do you pursue that line of business growth?
sure. So we have a significant number of accountants that are already with us, just tracking their own payroll, as well as accountants that signed up and then just had their customers sign up separate accounts, right? So we started realizing that in just thinking, listening to the industry, listening to customers, it's like we have all of these accountants and payroll people out there, like I was saying earlier, just chasing on time cards and paper slips and texts and however non-standardized way that each of their customers gives them the time. And we were thinking we can fix that problem, right? This was probably 5 or 6 years ago. We went and we added a feature in there. We call it sub accounts or child accounts. And now it's matured quite a bit, but the accountant can open an accountant account or a payroll company
Mhm.
account. And we give it to them for free so they can track their own time. They have their own employees. So that's a benefit to them. That's
Yeah,
nice.
nice.
But then they can add their customers or request that their customers come underneath them, and it just makes it so easy for them just to get their time. We already said this once, so I don't need to repeat myself, but they could just click a button, go to client A, there's my hours, send them off, you know, export them or send them to whatever time, whatever payroll system they have. Next customer done, next customer done. It's really nice.
Wow.
So, and as far as reaching them, like I said, we have some already that were with us. We had actually just hired a account executive slash salesperson, the very first one ever. And one of the focuses is going to be on bringing more of those account slash payroll people in and just showing them the value. It's something that, we're really going to push for. We call them like an advocate channel. So, they will sell a product for us. So,
Absolutely. I'm just
yeah.
picturing an accountant saying to a small medium business owner, yes, I'll take you on as a client, but you have to use on the clock. Otherwise, we can't work together because I don't want the headache.
Yes. We've had some of that. You can't always force them, right? But they push real heavily sometimes. So, and those are really our kind of, we got a couple of those payroll companies that are pushing us pretty heavy. So, yeah.
Wow. How do you thank them or support them or help them? Because I think that's just such a wonderful channel to have.
Yeah. So currently, I'm going to be very transparent. We're not doing the best at that. We're actually this year, we're going to be doing a revamp of our accountants program. So, as far as supporting them, of course, the product works really well. They can see all their clients. It's very easy to use. It's easy for everybody and they can get their hours for payroll. But as far as kind of the ecosystem or like the support group, I guess, that's where we're looking to improve a little bit. We don't have that personal contact with them as much as I'd like. So I feel that we failed a little bit in that area. System wise, works perfect. So that's going to be a big focus, probably mid to late this year.
Yeah. What are your sort of main marketing methods these days aside from the accounting? Because I noted in the original days, I think you had a couple of AdWords and Yahoo campaigns to start getting some trial customers in. What do you do these days?
Correct. So SEO is still big. It still means a lot. So we do focus on SEO and we do a little bit of paid. Paid's been hit and miss. It's just, you think it's going to work. You think you can just throw money at something and you get leads, but we've had several iterations with some really big hitters as well. And it hasn't gone as well as we'd like. However, we had just recently done some later last year ourselves. Edgardo, who was our marketing director, we just did it internally and we actually had really good results with that. And so we're continuing to build on that. So SEO, paid. So a lot of our customers come from the App Store. So ASO is important to make sure your app looks good and attracts people. The store listings look good. Again, screenshots of the product, right? So,
Yeah.
and then for us, we mentioned advocates before. Our customers, business owners know other business owners. So if you build a product that's really good, well, guess what people do? They recommend it, right?
Mhm.
So do our best to try to facilitate and make it as easy as possible for them to recommend our product. a few years back. It was probably 4 or 5 years back now, but it was State Farm. So we had a lot of State Farms with us. And one day they called up and he had asked, "We're going to this regional conference. Can we talk about you on stage?" I'm like, "Yes, let me send you some t-shirts and some pins and some backpacks."
How
And
dare you? Yeah.
yeah, I was like, "Absolutely." But they were just asking, making sure there was no
Yeah.
conflict of interest or who knows what. So, it's things like that. You just build a really good product and people will push it for you, right? We even had employees. There's employee turnover, and our system mimics roughly what the US has here. And we've had employees go to new companies and say, "Hey, how about trying this?"
Nice.
And then other channels like, of course, the payroll and accountants, looking at who else can we push to? Yeah, that's kind of what we're thinking.
Yeah, teaming
Yeah.
up with others. But again, you repeated that word easy. It reminds me of we all use different bits of software here and there for different things. And there are some where they're great, they're constantly working on new features to add. But sometimes I feel like I don't necessarily need the AI blockchain personality to develop a
Yeah.
app thing. I just want this bit to work a bit better and faster. Could you do that first and then go on to the cool stuff? And so, yeah, you've repeated the easy word, that mantra almost a few times. And I guess that's why it gets so well referred, probably has such a high end net promoter score where people will refer it to other people. And yeah, focusing on not just usability, but people enjoying it and just finding it easy to use is so important. It's obviously worked so well. Do you have advice for others who are either starting or growing an HR software business? Any lessons you've learned along the way? And it doesn't necessarily need to be marketing related, but I'm just curious to hear what you have gathered up.
Sure. This could really apply to any business, if it's marketing software or any software, we're SaaS. So that's really what we've learned. I think one of the biggest things is, really understand what your customer needs, what their problem is. Don't just build a solution without talking to them and understanding them or reading forums or wherever it is you get your information, and really try to figure out what it is that they're looking for. And then either if you haven't built your product yet, build it to solve that problem or pivot it to solve that problem. Along the way, of course, easy, right? Make it that easy as possible. People nowadays, we're so busy. We just want to get in, do our business, get out. Yeah, be probably first one, is really just build something people want. I mean,
Yeah,
it's simple, but so many people have such a hard time executing it.
very good. And then on the HR/people management side of things, you mentioned that, yeah, you've, like any business, people will come and go. There'll be people leaving and moving on. But you mentioned the fact that some of them have referred on your business, your product to where they have moved to. And I'll bet they wouldn't have done that had they not enjoyed their time there. Because if
Correct.
they left going, "Oh, what an awful place it was," there's no way I'm going to refer them, even if it is a good product. So you obviously have done some great stuff along the way in terms of creating the right culture and bringing good people and stuff. What advice would you have on the managing people side of things?
One of our values, our very first one is actually a passion for people, right? So I actually put our team above pretty much everybody, everything else. If you don't have your team on board, you're not going to service your customer. You're not going to build good product. You're not going to have good customer support, all the other pieces that fall into place. And then, turnover, like we have basically zero turnover here. So it takes 6 months to a year for somebody to get pretty good at what they're doing. And if your average turnover is 2, 3 years, I mean, look at the wasted inefficiency there,
Yeah.
right? And, of course, we don't treat our people good to reduce turnover. It's just a good side effect. It's just really one of my core values is a passion for people. Yeah.
Yeah, great advice. So you guys have quite a lot of resources available. Just want to give us a quick overview before I send people to the website itself. So you've got webinars and things like that. Can you just give us a quick overview of what you've got there and how it helps people?
Sure. Yeah. We have a pretty wide variety, like you said, webinars. The marketing side of the website itself is very informative, and we try to break that down as simple as possible so everybody that is there can understand what we're doing and what we're offering. We have a YouTube channel. Some of them are pretty entertaining. Our crew, they get pretty good sometimes. So this is kind of interesting. So our help section is publicly facing. So if you just scroll to the bottom, you can click on help. And I've had people that have told me they've read through the entire help section, or maybe not the entire, but they read a significant portion of it before they signed up.
Ah,
So it's kind of interesting, so I guess that's a resource some people like to read through before they sign up. And then we do offer a free trial, right? 30 days. So that's really easy. You don't need a credit card. So you get to actually use the system. That's probably one of the biggest resources we have. that you could actually try the system, add a couple employees, add yourself, clock in and out, see your hours, test out the features. So those are probably the major resources we have from kind of a marketing standpoint.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I think it's smart because so many companies sort of waste that opportunity and don't put information there that can help either potential customers or customers themselves or people who can refer your business. And obviously, with the big focus on the accountants, it's great to have that sort of stuff there.
And one more thing I forgot to mention, we actually answer the phone. So
What?
yeah, so we'll get that reaction sometimes that I can't believe you're actually answering the phone. I don't know the exact rate, but it's significantly way higher than like your average call center. We don't have a call center, by the way. We have specialists that we call them. So we're doing really good there. And so, yeah,
That's good. It seems like it's a very good product, does what it is expected to do. It's easy to use. People enjoy it. They refer it on. Employees enjoy being there and are doing a great job and having some fun as well. So obviously you've built a great business, and I just want to thank you for sharing all your advice, your stories, and I wish
yeah.
you the best for going forward. If people want to learn more about the business and some of the resources and things we've talked about, what should they do next?
Best option would just go to the website, ontheclock.com, or just Google search for On the Clock. We're right at the top there. You can learn about our product. You could open a free trial. You could learn about us. We have our, some blurbs about us. So yeah,
Brilliant. Excellent. Well, Dean, thank you very much for your time again. I've really enjoyed our chat.
appreciate it. Thank you.
Thanks for joining us today on A Better HR Business, the podcast that explores the world of HR consulting and HR tech businesses. For show notes and downloads, go to www.getmorehrclients.com/podcast. That's getmorehrclients.com/podcast. Remember to subscribe and share the show with any friends who are busy growing a HR business. Thanks, and see you next time.